And we are back now. And Jack, I am ready to talk some NFL. Let's get it going right now.
Let's do it.
First, we'll take a look back at Week 2. I mean, I know a lot of people have put it out of their mind. Heck, Week 3 is already started. But you know what? Since we're only on Fridays, we got to take a look back at Week 2. And let's start it off with the two primetime games. Some good matchups there, and really some nice surprising comebacks. We had the Bears coming back against the 49ers to win 28-20, and then that was Sunday night, and then Monday night we had the Eagles coming back against the Colts and winning 30-27. Both of those comebacks on the road, the Colts and the 49ers were two teams that a lot of people were looking at as taken into the 49ers have been elite the last few years, and a lot of people thought the Colts were going to take a big step this year. For both of them to give a big lead, the big leads that they had at home, are these teams in danger at all?
No, I wouldn't say in danger. The Colts, even though they're 0-2, I think they're definitely in the least amount of danger. 49ers being the fact that they're in the NFC West, maybe a little more danger, but I still wouldn't worry too much about them. Definitely tough losing their Levi Stadium debut with the lead. Same with the Colts, but no, I wouldn't talk danger, not yet at least.
Yeah, and they were playing two good teams. The Eagles are 2-0, and they won the division last year 10-6, and they can put points up in a hurry and pile it up, and they score. I was watching pregame to Monday Night Football, and they showed a graphic of last year the teams that scored the most touchdowns on drives that were, I think, 4 plays or less. The Eagles led the NFL with 15, I believe it was, and the next highest was the Denver Broncos at 6. So they had more than double the next highest team, and that's talking about being on top of the Denver Broncos, who had a historic offensive year last year. So really, I mean, no shame for the Colts in losing to the Eagles. Yes, an unfortunate way to do it. They were up 17-6 at halftime, and then just gave away 24 points in the second half. But no shame there. As for the Bears, the Bears are always a tough team. So really, you can't say shame there for the 49ers. I think that the worst thing though. Entering the fourth quarter, the 49ers were up 20-7. Final score 28-20. 3 unanswered touchdowns in the fourth quarter. That's a little alarming. I mean, but the 49ers are fine. No worries there.
Yeah, no. I think especially the Bears coming off that loss to the Bills, they knew they didn't want to start this season off 0-2. And being with the Packers, even though the Packers they lost to Seattle, the Bears knew they didn't want to start the season 0-2. With the depleted secondary, they still managed to pick off Colin Kaepernick late in the game, and they played well. It was a great comeback. The defense looked good in that fourth quarter. I mean, not surrendering any points there, and the offense obviously 3 unanswered touchdowns. That's definitely not bad.
Yeah, that's a good point, but anyway, now staying in that division, talking about 1-1 teams out in the NFC West, the Seattle Seahawks are not going to run off all their wins to start the season like they did last year. They're 1-1, losing to the San Diego Chargers last week, 30-21. I have to say, I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, the Chargers, the way that they lost their opening game on Monday Night Football to the Arizona Cardinals, I was very confident that Seattle would go into San Diego and win that game, but big statement win for the Chargers.
Yeah, huge win for them. The fact that they even went into Seattle and won, I had not given them.
No, it was in San Diego.
Oh, it was in San Diego? Okay, my bad. But I still, even being in San Diego, I had not really given them too much of a shot to win that game. But yeah, they made it definitely a huge statement win for them.
You know, I think another thing with it, another reason why a lot of people are surprised about this is the way that those two teams got into the playoffs last year. Yes, they were both playoff teams last year, but Seattle was clearly one of the top few teams all year long, and then they went on to win the Super Bowl. San Diego just shuffled into the playoffs. I mean, I think they were maybe like 4-7, and then won their last 5 games or something like that. Like they were nowhere near the top of the NFL, and then they went on a run late in the year. They needed 2 teams to lose and them to win on the last day of the regular season just to get in at 9-7. And I think just the way that those two teams went last season with made it even more surprising this year, the way that the Chargers just took it to the Seahawks. And another thing is Phillip Rivers was not afraid to throw at Richard Sherman, which Aaron Rodgers didn't do in the opening week. And well, you know what? It's interesting, but now it's a small sample, but so far this year, if you're not afraid to throw at Richard Sherman, you're 1-0 against the Seahawks. Afraid to throw at him, 0-1. So, you know, it's interesting if a team decides to not go Richard Sherman's way, because essentially you're cutting off half of the field.
Yeah, no, and like you said, Phil Rivers showed that Richard Sherman isn't unbeatable. He kind of toasted him, to be honest. Richard Sherman couldn't do much. And Phillip Rivers throwing for 3 touchdowns. There were a couple highlights I saw where Richard Sherman got burned pretty bad.
And speaking of the other team from the playoff from the Super Bowl last year, you've got the Denver Broncos, who had a tough matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs, the top 2 teams from the AFC West last year, two really good teams. And they came away with a 24-17 win at home against the Chiefs. You know, they had a goal line stand late in the game that sealed the victory. Denver is 2-0, but their 2 wins have not been so convincing.
No, definitely not. Like you said, this game against a depleted Kansas City defense came down to a 4th and goal pass that they did defend, and it only would have tied the game. But I think that everyone kind of expected Denver to come into this game and really roll over Kansas City, but Kansas City held their own in their defense.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the Broncos last year, in the first game of the year, that they had Peyton Manning had his 7-touchdown phenomenal game against the Baltimore Ravens, and early in the year they were just rolling over people, and now, I mean, they were rolling over the Colts week 1, and then the Colts had that furious comeback and were down 7, had the ball late in the game, and Andrew Luck threw that incomplete pass on 4th down around the Broncos 40 to end the game. And now, you know, it came down to another Broncos defensive stand. And, you know, the Broncos, I think, are vulnerable. I really think so. But then you got to look at it. You know, last year they won with their offense. Mm-hmm. This year, how did they secure those 2 wins when they were leading by 7 late in the game?
Right, it was the defense there.
And that's what they made a point of focusing on in the regular season, picking up Aqib Talib, picking up DeMarcus Ware. So, you know, maybe the Broncos aren't getting the style points that they got last year, but it's the same effect.
Yeah, no, I the way they're playing, they seem vulnerable, but I think it's just a different system now with the fact that their defense has been bolstered by these pickups. I think that people are expecting Denver to roll over teams winning games by multiple touchdowns, but I think maybe this is more of what we're going to get. Closer games, but still coming out on top with the defense showing why they're going to make a name for themselves this year.
Yeah, hey, I mean, the Broncos, exactly like you said, and there's a slogan: offense wins games, defense wins championships. Yep. So last year they won a boatload of games with their offense and won the AFC championship, but you know what? They don't have a Lombardi to show for it. This year, new defense, maybe they could get that Lombardi. But anyway, let's do a little more of a look around the league, and we'll. I know this is going to be painful for you, but we have to go here. Jets Packers.
Yep. Tough loss. Definitely great game to watch. Great comeback for the Packers. A lot of bad mistakes by the Jets. I mean, especially Muhammad Wilkerson throwing those punches, getting thrown out of the game. It's just silly, to be honest. You can't do that. You're hurting your own team, and it kind of showed.
Yeah, and that's true. The Jets, a lot of bonehead moves there, and everyone's pointing to the fourth down timeout that reversed the game tying touchdown. But you know what? I'm not looking at that. Right. Really, they should not have been in that position because late in the first half. And that was where the game was decided.
That's where, exactly, you're right about that. Up 18, could go up 24 there, or 25. Geno throws the pick. Aaron Rodgers comes down, scores right before the half, and then the Packers get the ball. Actually, I believe the Jets got the ball to start the half, but, you can't do that. Geno, very bad pass. He lobbed it up there. It was an easy interception.
Made it 21-16 at the half as opposed to potentially 28 to, I guess that would be 9.
Yeah, 9. Yeah, so it wasn't an 18 point, but yeah, it would have been 28-9.
Huge difference. Really, I think that not really. That definitely was the game right there.
Yeah, you can't. People want to point to the fact that it was the fourth down timeout. You can't pick one play out really, but that whole sequence there. That's got to be it.
Right, because then fine, then after the timeout, you ended up getting the first down.
Yep. And
then couldn't score after that. So, as we both have been saying, it was the sequence right before halftime that sealed the game. Anyway, now just touching on a few more games, the Texans 2-0. Yes, they did beat the Raiders, who are the god-awful Raiders, but they looked pretty good in that game. I mean, they didn't give up. They held the Raiders scoreless for three quarters and had a 27-0 lead after 3. So, really, the Texans, a lot of people after last season going 2-14. Discredited them and saying, they're going to be just as terrible this year. They're serious. They're a serious threat. Now, I'm not saying they're going to run the table, go 16-0 or 14-2 or something, but I think they're going to put a nice season together this year.
Yeah, no, they're on top of the AFC South now and 2-game lead on Indianapolis. I think it would be a lot of fun to see some good competition there in that division. Yeah, maybe Houston can grab a wild card spot if they. I don't know if they're going to grab the division. I think that's the Colts division to lose, but maybe Houston sneaks in with a wild card spot this year.
Yeah, I say that the Colts have the division, even though they're 0-2, Texans 2-0. The Colts just have so much experience with Andrew Luck. You're never out of a game, and I see them taking the division, but. The Texans, definitely, I think can make some noise this year, and But then you also have to keep in the back of your mind, they started 2-0 last year.
Yeah, we know how that turned out.
And they finished with 2 wins in a 16-game season. So you can't be too sure this early in the year. But how about we'll touch on maybe one more game here, and I'm looking at the Browns-Saints game. Brian Hoyer outdueling Drew Brees, giving the Browns a 1-1 record in a 26-24 win over the Saints. Saints now falling to 0-2 after making the playoffs last year. 2 questions for you, Jack. Are the Browns a pretty solid team and can make some noise? And 2, are the Saints going to come back from 0-2?
I'll start with the latter question. Saints will come back from 0-2, definitely. That division is really up for grabs this year. I think Drew Brees isn't playing up to how he's not playing as well as he can right now. It's not like he's playing bad, but the Browns shouldn't be too hard of a game. I think he had a pick 6 in that game, really turned the game around. But yeah, don't count the Saints out just yet. And can the Browns make some noise? Definitely, but it's so hard to say with the division they're in with the Bengals. I think the Bengals take that division easily. I don't know. I really don't know.
I think the Browns are going to put together a nice season. I don't think they're making the playoffs, but I think that they are definitely not too far out of that division and without a doubt moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, a lot of people thought their first 4 games before their bye were so tough and that they would easily lose all 4 and then Johnny Football comes in. But you know what? Brian Hoyer is certainly making a name for himself, and I think they should stick with Hoyer. I'm a Hoyer fan. You know, he learned under Tom Brady. That's pretty good. Johnny Football didn't learn under Tom Brady. So you got to give Hoyer that. As for the Saints, they'll bounce back. They're fine. 0-2, no big deal. You have Drew Brees and Jimmy Graham. And Sean Payton coaching, Saints are fine.
Yep.
No worries there, Nola. We will take another quick break, and then we will be back and look ahead to Week 3 in the National Football League.
WICR presents another great New York sports moment.
And boxing fans, Arthur Donovan has the 2 principals in the ring.
The Lewis Schmeling fight was the most important sports event sociologically in the 20th century.